podcast. I have here JL Malone and Koyo. What's your last name? Alexander. Exactly. It's Alexander. You let it down? Okay, cool. Let me make sure this is cool. Right here. Is it better? You can see my face a little bit better? All right. Pretty. All right. First of all, I want to give JL his flowers while he's here. I just had a talk yesterday about how important he is to the culture of creatives in Houston. I don't think people really understand. We had a conversation yesterday. I was like, everything he's ever done has been kind of like selfless. And I asked him the question. I was like, man, don't you ever get tired of just doing stuff for everybody else? I really asked him that question, and he said, no, that's just in his blood, you know. And I get it. I definitely understand it. But I just rather give him his flowers while he's here, man, because what he's done from Black Market Houston to the National Black Film Festival to this film that's getting shot on Prairie View's campus, it doesn't make any sense. He could have probably been farther ahead right now if he just been more selfish. He could have probably been further ahead. He probably had a Grammy right now, Oscar right now if he wasn't so selfless. But I'm extremely honored to be his friend and to have known him since undergrad. And we went to school together at Pearland, but didn't know it. But at the end of the day, I'm really proud of you, bro, for real. Because what you are doing is extremely important. And I don't know who's told you that, if anybody have told you that yet, but bro, like, I'm so serious. Like, I'm extremely proud of you, and I want you to know that without the things that you're doing right now, you know, people wouldn't have some of the opportunities, and that's important. It's important that you know that people are, I don't know how many people, but I know a lot of people have benefited from your efforts, you know, and that stuff, I think we taking that lightly. I think Houston is taking that lightly, but I'm not going to take that lightly. I'm not going to make that same mistake. You know, it's extremely important to me to let you know that for sure.
I appreciate it, brother.
For real.
No, real talk. Don't make me cry up in here, man. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. I would say it's, I just love doing it. You know, I just love being able to create freely, you know. And sometimes I know early on when I was in college, you know, trying to do stuff for yourself, sometimes it doesn't always work because you got a lot of haters out here.
Yeah.
And so once you put your name on something, even if it's good, you know, people won't support it. But when they don't think it's your product, then all of a sudden everybody's supporting it. And so it's like, well, I want to do good in the world, but they gonna hate on me if they know it's coming from me. So let me put a spin on it. Let me put a twist on it. Let me help you without you knowing I'm helping you. You know what I mean? Yeah. It sounds crazy,
sometimes
right?
You gotta put what they call it, putting the medicine in the candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sometimes you gotta do that.
So it's like you want to be good, and the only way to be great, you want to be great. And you want to help people and make an impact, but if you're getting all the credit and all the shine, then not less people are paying attention. But if you know, let's make a couple of different businesses that do things that serve the community and uplift them, and you just go to work. Don't have to post everything on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Just go to work and establish something, and then once they find out that, oh man. First of all, they go, you work here? That's what they do to me every time. Film Festival, Black Market, you work here? I'll be like, yeah, I work here. And then when they come back or they go around and they keep talking about what's going on, they say, man, you run this? And I'm like, hey, you know, just we're here, man. It's community. I provide the space.
That's the same thing that happened to me when I did the food truck festival in Houston for those 3 years. Like, you know, I did that because I wanted to create a platform for artists, good artists that wasn't about, you know, just good artists. That's what I wanted to do. And people didn't know I was over it for those 3 years either. And that was fine with me. You know, I wasn't doing it for that. I was doing it because I wanted to create a platform for people, and I wanted to help people.
Right.
And like I said, we've had this conversation where the correlation of just us being selfless. But I mean, that's extremely important. But and one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, you know, what made you want to do film? Like, what made you want to be a producer?
Or you wanna answer why you wanted to be a producer?
I'm gonna ask her.
You want to get to?
I got a question for her.
Okay. Because you got to make sure that my team is represented too.
For
you know
sure.
what I mean?
No, for sure.
Because we wouldn't be making this film without Koyo Alexander.
No, for sure. And you told me that.
I'm
so
just gonna
I
tell y'all.
questions.
Yeah, we're gonna leave there. Okay,
for
gotta look out. Okay.
Yeah.
What made me actually? I think I was actually in this room taking. There was a couple different classes I took in this room.
Yeah.
From video production 1, video production 2, and so we had in our generation we had like the YouTube craze. Yeah. Everybody was getting on YouTube making money and all that kind of stuff. So at first that's all I wanted to do was be like this YouTube star or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like not with my face on it though.
Yeah.
But just like. I did things. If you probably look it up right now, like PV Uncut.
Yeah,
PV.
I was there. So
Yeah.
I remember all that stuff you used to do.
know.
You in what's his name? I forgot his name, but you definitely used to be. I wasn't even in that. I wasn't even doing video.
Right.
Man, I was a designer. That's what I was at. I was like, them dudes over there do video.
Yeah.
I'm over here doing design. That's what I do. So I mean,
PV unedited. I was just showing the school like in its rawest form. You know.
Sure.
And public relations hated me because of that, because I was like, man, I'm shooting everything. I'm shooting toga parties. I'm shooting probates, Kappa probate. You know, I was going to shoot anything and everything that I saw because I felt like this is what people really want. Mm-hmm. They want the rawness, and so that's all I was doing. I'm just like, man, I got this YouTube partnership. They're paying me some money, and that's pretty cool, right? And so it wasn't until Sophia Sunghai came to the campus. Do you remember Sophia?
She was on that's not the City High girl, is it?
She was a professor who came in, and she had learned under Spike Lee at NYU.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about somebody else.
And so that story, she had just told that story, and that was enough for me to say, oh, I can not only do video production, but I can do filmmaking, you know?
You can just go over there, bro. Yeah.
And so that's all it took for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that's why it's good to like have your.
Huh?
Are we gonna pass around the mic?
Because this speaker not working, so it's all.
This ain't the bootleg podcast. Just how we doing it right now. Because it's only episode 3.
This is episode 3, bro.
It's only episode 3. So come episode 10, it's gonna be a whole different situation.
We're gonna be in a whole different setup. One thing about it, I'm very persistent, so it's gonna happen.
It's important for people to see different things.
For sure.
Because it opens up your mind. One small thing can open up a whole new world. And that's what Sophia Sunghai did for me. She said she said 2 things. She said NYU, and she said Spike Lee. Yeah. And I said, oh, that's somebody who has talked to Spike Lee. Mm-hmm. I can do this. Yeah. And that's all it took for me.
So I'm going to ask you that same question as far as like what made you want to be a producer?
What made me want to produce is I kind of got started in video from a blog that I started back after I graduated from school. And that was another thing with me, just wanting to, I had a lot of talented friends, and I still do. And so I wanted to showcase their talents. I felt like they didn't really have an outlet for what they were trying to do. A lot of people in entertainment, a lot of my friends were starting their own businesses and things like that. So I wanted to, just kind of showcase them. So I started like a digital blog, and was writing articles and doing different interviews like that. Then I realized a lot of my friends weren't reading at the time. Like the times were changing from just print media and going towards digital media. So, you just got to change with the times if you want to last. So anyway.
You said people don't read. That's what you told me.
a lot of my friends they don't. They didn't. They weren't reading the articles. I'm a writer. I'm a reader. I can do that all day, but it ain't about what I want. You know what I'm saying? And so I recognize that change in the trend, and so that's what got me into doing videos, video interviews. And so for me, I just wanted to continue to get better at what I was doing. So that's what led me into I went to film school, and one of our projects was to create a short film to graduate, and that was my short film that I created called Crank. And I just wanted to do my absolute best with the resources that I had, and I feel like I really did that, and created that. I ended up, I was doing like a press run on the radio, local radios, and I had a friend that was doing the show. She was like, you need to come up here on such and such date. The founders of the National Black Film Festival are going to be here. I was like, okay, cool. I didn't even know about that. They were in their second year.
How long you been out of film school?
I graduated December 2017. I met J.O., I want to say it was in January.
You know, I thought
2018.
you been in film forever.
No. It's crazy. It's crazy to me to just think like, damn, I really graduated.
I really thought, man, she probably been in film for at least 6 years, 7 years.
No, like
the
doing
way
it as serious as I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way you carry yourself, and every time I'm seeing you involved around in it and everything, that just shows me it feels like you really like a vet in this stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. That's good.
For sure.
Yeah.
I really thought, I was like, because anybody that associate with him, I know they like really into it.
Well, yeah, let me tell you about that. So here's my friend. She called me. She told me, she said, hey, you should be here, and that's just the power of relationships.
Yeah.
Because I could have never have met this guy. Right. And so she told me I needed to be here for that festival. And I was like, okay, I was really trying to push my film. And like I said, I was trying to do the best I could possibly do with it. And so I met him, Denisha, and everything. And I don't know, it was something about J.O. that just resonated with me. I was like, yeah, it's something I need to, stick close to him because he's doing something. You know what I'm saying? He's doing something big, and he in the same lane I'm trying to get in. And so from there, I just kind of stayed close. I volunteered at the film festival. I just wanted to be in that arena. I knew where I wanted to go, right? So I just kind of stayed into that. And so ever since I met J.O., going to the film festival twice, I don't know, we just kind of, just stayed close with each other and reaching out. And I think the relationship has just been blossoming from that. And I just always been a person that has wanted to kind of just manage and put pieces together. That's one of my things that I'm good at. I know a lot of people that are doing things, and so I like to just kind of place things and people where they need to be placed to create something big and beautiful. And I just feel like that's what I'm doing, and that's what got me wanting to produce. Not to say that that's the only thing that I want to do, because there's tons of things that I'm still looking forward to doing, but producing right now, that's my thing. I like it.
Talk about Koyo. Can I talk about Koyo for a minute?
Yeah.
So like when I met her, she was promoting Crank like a feature film. She didn't care it was a feature film. She was like, this is Crank. Y'all need to watch this. Like, I was like, it gotta be a feature the way she pushing it. I thought it was a feature for months. I was like, this is a feature film. Like, I'm bringing her in the meetings with other directors. Look, she got feature film in Houston. You got one. Like, we need to connect because that's how she branded herself. And people don't, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't got it all together, or I'm gonna do this, and maybe I can get to the next level. No, she was like, I'm here. I went to film school. I'm a filmmaker. This is my film. You need to see it. Yeah. And she pushed it, and then like she said, she was like, I'm gonna attach myself. Every event that I had, she's there. She's consistent. She's working. She's never not working. You know how people come and they just
they just linger around.
No, she like, where's the task? I want to be and who is the person that I need to be by? I met you already, J.O. I know you. We good. So who is the other person that I need to be by? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I can keep on growing. And so it's that type of dedication is like, oh, shit, are we doing something, Kakoyo? You know what I mean?
Nah, for sure.
And so you want that consistency you cannot you can't buy.
Which brings me to a question that I have for you. Is it Vincent or Vince? Can I call
whichever
you
one you want to do, brother?
All right, Vince. So Vince, All right.
Yeah, so they're just gonna
I'm
call me
always-
out my name.
I'm always talking to my interns and my mentees about accountability.
Absolutely.
And I want you to kind of like shine some light on that. Because I know you're in LA, right?
Yeah, I am.
So I wanted you to talk about, like, for one, I wanted you to talk about why'd you, why are you directing, why'd you engulf in film? And also I wanted to talk about how important it is for, like, I guess people that's coming up to really be accountable and hold themselves accountable and to be professional. How important that is for like a creative of color, for sure.
In order of sequence, I fell in love with film as a really young kid. My dad used to be the guy with the video camera at all the family functions. And so growing up, I'd always see him with this huge JVC VHS camera carrying it around. Well, what happens is the year after, when you pop the VHS in from the year before, everybody crowds around the TV, pointing at themselves, look at so-and-so, look at, oh my God, look at my hair. And then when you pop that VHS in years later, it's like, oh my God, look how skinny I was. And look at, and then you pop it in a few years later, and it's like, oh my God, look at Pawpaw, he was still alive, and Granny was, and then you pop it in years later, and it's tears because so-and-so's gone. But very young, I mean like 4 years old, I realized that there was this visceral reaction that people got from seeing the moving picture. And so what I would do by the time I was, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 8, I'd take my dad's camera and figure out how to press record and press stop real quick. Take my sister's dolls, move them a small bit. Press record, press stop a little bit. Nobody had taught me about what stop motion was. Instinctively, I figured it out. Now, I used to get in trouble a lot because I'd break into my parents' room to steal the camera while my dad was at work. Because back then, it was valuable. You got to lock that thing up, you know. Now it's $50 on eBay, you know. But and you're good. You got it on your phone now. But back then, that was like, this is where we make memories, you know. And 97, Titanic comes out. And a couple years before that, Jurassic Park. And there's something that happened when I saw Jurassic Park and Titanic on TV. It wasn't the films themselves. It was the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And there was this thing that I loved about seeing them take these little toy boats to make the iceberg and put this big camera with all these lights around it to shoot the plates for the special effects. I didn't know there were plates then. I didn't understand it at all. There was just something about this that was like, and this was when cable was first coming out, and HBO had to fill the blocks of time between the top of the hour because they were only going to show the new film starting at 5 o'clock or whatever. And so they were filling these gaps with the BTS, and you got these people talking about, you know, the person that's putting this all together. And I was like, I would like to do that. I'd like to put together images and things and make people enjoy them. There was some you think they were clicking off. I was also falling in love with theater at the time. So much so that by the time I was 5 or 6, my parents were talking about this yesterday when they were on set. Literally, I had my dad build me a stage in my bedroom with office file boxes on some like 2x4s. I mean, some like 2 foot wide by 4 foot long planks, and just nailing them together. I had a stage in my bedroom, and literally would take a sheet and run a clothing line from wall to wall, cut the sheet in half, and I'd come out and host my own Tonight Show as Arsenio Hall. As a kid, like no gas, like legit. And then my parents would have to be in my audience, and if they didn't clap the right way, I was firing them. Then when I got old enough to start like realizing I got a little pool in the neighborhood, I started telling my friends, yeah, y'all can come to the house today, but you got to bring your parents' video camera. I'm setting up 3 camera shoots in my living room, and then my sister is holding the cue cards, and then my people in the audience, I got somebody else at the TD, they got headphones on, They ain't doing their jobs right. Y'all all fired. I'm gonna be the TD. Jasmine, my sister, you get on stage. I'm gonna hold your cue card. I'm jumping behind the camera. And then I'm like, it ain't enough people. I need dolls. Get all the dolls. We want the dolls in the screen. Then it grew to where for the holidays, I'm writing scripts for my cousins at my granny's house. If we're gonna have the camera out, this is what we about to shoot this year. Daddy, you get over there. Y'all, we about to be the solar system. You Jupiter, you Mars. Y'all, my mama still has these crayon written scripts. They're terrible now. She still has them. And my cousins still tease me to this day of, Negro, do you remember when we had to wrap ourselves in sheets and be the solar system? I wasn't even 11, 12. There was this thing in me, though, that was like pushing me to it. Yeah. And then finally you get to like middle school and you can like get into the drama club and speech and debate. And now you have formal teaching of learning lines and then you get to high school and the teacher's like, oh, you can be the student assistant director. You know, you can start the rehearsals, you know, you're paying attention. And then you realize like in college, oh, I have something. I get to UNT, I make my own all black. I co-founded with 3 other people. We co-found an all black drama club because at UNT, the entire theater department was all white. And when I got cast in a role in the 1920s in Russia, and I was like, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but I'm black, and this is whack. And so, like, I literally was rushing. I was like, y'all, this is not believable. But you could tell they didn't care, and I'm like, you don't care enough. Yeah. I don't want to work with you. So I joined the community theater in Denton, Texas. And so at UNT, we're writing stage plays and putting them on with our own original music and our own audition process. And I'm a sophomore in college, a freshman in college, and we're up here figuring out like how to go through protocol to lock down 1,000-seater theater and host our own talent shows. And then I'm working for the Denton Theater Company, producing shows like Fences or Two Trains Running, and I'm working tech theater for that, and I'm pulling all these things I got from high school, so I'm working with the local high schools in Denton, just coming in to coach them as they prepare for UIL one-act play, not getting paid for it, but I have this itch I can't scratch.
So where are you from?
I'm from Texas, born and raised, Houston.
So Houston,
went to Eisenhower High School.
Did anybody? I mean, because I always tell this story how I didn't meet my first graphic designer till I became one.
That's real.
Did you?
I never knew anybody that directed.
You never knew anybody in the film industry?
Not in the film industry. The only directors I knew were my teachers.
In
middle school and high school.
Well, okay,
Lillian Pope.
What about your neighborhood?
Freddie Buckner. There was no one in my neighborhood. There was no one. Literally, the closest thing I had to it was my dad holding this video camera.
Yeah.
That's the closest frame of reference I had to it. And I don't say that to credit him with teaching me how to be a director, because he was literally just holding the video camera.
No, for sure.
These videos don't look great sometimes. Sometimes they out of focus. But I mean, Daddy, I appreciate you for capturing the memories. But he was just doing what we do as parents with our phones. You know what I mean? Exactly, it was nothing different. Yeah. He just remembered to charge the camera before and bring it to the events. There was no frame of reference that I had for it. And even when you talk about like graphic design and editing, and I know I went way deep into how I started in it, and I'm still coming back to your question about accountability, but the way, and J.O. and I have talked about this a little bit, but it's kind of like you become who you need.
Yeah.
So when I learned Photoshop in 2006, I learned it because I wanted to know how to isolate color in an image. How do you make red stay in a photo and everything else be black and white? And I'm a researcher. My wife will tell you, I Google to the death of something before I buy it. I'm not spending over $100 on anything until I done read like 45 reviews, and I'm certain that it is what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I'm Googling, they're talking about the software. This is where I learned how to hack. I learned how to use peer-to-peer sharing, take myself off the web and block my IP address, download Photoshop, download the crack, open the crack, pop in the serial number, and now I got Photoshop. No, Photoshop figured it out.
Photoshop.
They stopped it.
You talking about the portable version?
Yeah, well
Yeah,
now you got to pay the subscription.
Yeah, you got to pay
because of people like me.
You got to pay.
I messed the game up for y'all.
I had the portable. Shout out to my homeboy Ladarius Jones.
This boy that came from behind the camera. No, you can see it. So what you do is you go to
Ladarius. My homeboy Ladarius gave me the portable version, CS3, and that's how I became.
CS3.
That's how I really like honed in my talent as a designer.
Absolutely.
Because prior to that, I was only able to use it during when I would go to school.
Sure.
And on the desktop.
And you didn't have access to it.
I didn't have access to it. Because, it was expensive.
Absolutely.
No, it was like $2-3 grand or something like that.
Absolutely.
That was like unheard of.
So there was no way for you to buy that, right?
No way.
And so this takes me to a point that I talk about a lot about the cost of entry into the industry.
Talk about it.
It's a high cost of entry.
Yes.
And it by default blocks people out.
Exactly.
This industry is made for people that live in New York and LA. And those meetings they want to have are face to face, in person. And if you don't live there, you're losing out because you're not in the vicinity to accidentally remotely hear about what's going on. You're not at the accidental red carpet galas and all these functions to where you could bump into somebody to talk about an idea. If you're applying for a job and your resume has Houston at the top and you got a 281 area code, you're out. And it sucks because we get to a moment where there's the Me Too movement, but the only reason we're at the Me Too movement is because the field was locked down for people. Oh, my bad. The field was locked down to people that can afford to be in it, and by default, those are spoiled brats who are used to getting their way. And when a spoiled brat grows up and someone says no to them, they become Harvey Weinstein. And he says, no, there's no way for you to stop me.
I'm glad you said the cost to entry
Sure.
in this creative industry.
Absolutely.
Because it's extremely important
Absolutely.
that people really understand that there are barriers. It ain't even just racial barriers. It's
Sure.
just
financial.
Financial
But that
barriers.
it is racial by that fault
Well,
because
for sure.
institutionalized.
Yeah, because you go farther back.
Absolutely. When you deal with
can
the
always
substratum
trace
of it.
everything back to racism.
Absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
Well, I was telling somebody today, like when you talk about lighting for black skin, exposure as a meter only moved to the darker spectrum once black and white commercials happened and photos were happening in the newspaper because the furniture companies were upset with how the wood was looking in their ads. And so they were like, oh, we've got to fix this wood. And by default, that's what made black skin start to look better on camera. When Kodak and these bigger companies start making the film and developing it the right way to make somebody be able to sell furniture, wood, wardrobes and stuff. But outside of that, so it sucks because when we talk about exposure, we're never talking about it on black skin the right way. We're talking about it on the system that was established way before black people were in front of the camera. And so by default, it's attention to just teach people, okay, here's what we need to do to deal with black skin. And so but it's a conversation that has to happen and it has to keep happening because this institution or the industry was not made for us. But the secret that we have now is everybody's walking around with a charger, with a charger. I'm looking at J.O.'s charger. Everybody's walking around with a studio in their pocket. You have a phone that can shoot 4K video. You have software that you can edit with. You have a microphone. You have a USB port. You can plug in a microphone interface, and you can make a beat on your phone. You can go to SoundCloud without a laptop. This was not like this when we were growing up.
No, facts.
There was no just buy a phone and you can build
flip phones.
No,
Razor
you had to
came
have
out,
a laptop or a desktop. You had to have access to it, and you had to have high-speed internet. You couldn't just have AOL on a disc.
I'm gonna say because we grew up in the era where
dial up here.
Dial
get off the phone.
Exactly. You
get off the phone because
get on the phone. Like you couldn't get.
You
on
had
the
to
phone.
afford two lines.
The big gateway computers.
Come on, dude. Compact. A Pavilion. HP was a thing still. Come on, gateway with a cow on the side. Come on.
Disc.
Listen, Sony Vizio.
I think me and my friend was talking about this the other day about growing up in a generation where we were able to know what it was like to have dial up and have to wait for your people to get off the phone. Yeah, wait for people to get off the phone. Wait.
You appreciate that high speed internet now.
For your minutes to be free.
Bro, bruh, talk about not just 7. Do you remember when it was 9?
Yeah, 9.
It was 9. Then AT&T was like, it's 8. Then Sprint was like, it's 7.
Exactly.
And then
That's
they was like,
biggest thing.
it was 7 o'clock.
7.
Hold up.
I think T-Mobile made it all
T-Mobile was first.
Yeah, T-Mobile
They said,
made it
you know
like
what?
everything.
T-Mobile to T-Mobile.
Everything.
T-Mobile to T-Mobile is free.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
T-Mobile
yeah,
did.
exactly. T-Mobile,
They said
T-Mobile,
the
it's
network to
everything
network
free.
is free. Then everybody said network to network is free.
free.
Then I think it was Verizon that said any cell phone
Yeah.
is free.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this competition. But bro, I remember,
Yeah, remember that, bro.
2-year contracts.
The brick
You
phone.
upgrade?
That
What you
Nokia
mean
brick
upgrading?
phone, the Nokia
You
brick
would never
phone.
upgrade. Yep, some mamas is still in the drawer at the house. Sprint PCS.
It still worked, but
What you
I
know
mean,
with?
I definitely
You used to be able to pop a battery off and replace a battery. Now you can't even get
Yeah.
into the phone.
Uh-huh.
But they don't understand the luxury. Saying all that to say
So
that when you deal with how we figure this out, it took a whole lot more ingenuity to get to where we are, and now it's at our fingertips. And so by default, the culture is much more lazy, and it takes hustlers to divide the wheat from the tares.
So in my book, I always talk about practicality.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I wrote my book, because it was like, you get a lot of information out there that's super inspirational, and I get it, but I never needed inspiration, because I looked outside and I saw where I came from, and I was like, that's all inspiration I needed. I more so needed practicality. I needed advice that would get me somewhere. And that's the reason why I wrote my book so straightforward. That's the reason why my book is such an easy read. So I want to get practical advice from every one of you.
On that note, though, I want to say that's the whole reason why I went to USC Film School. So I started at UNT, and then I transferred to TSU once my grades plummeted because I was doing all this stuff that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I was hot man on campus for sure. People knew me for sure. I can still pull up at a homecoming right now, say what's up to the homies. Didn't get no degree. Got kicked out. Up here looking like Andre Jones from the freshman year. But when I got to TSU, I realized the tragic flaw that their film program was primarily theoretical. And what I needed was practical advice to know, what do I do with these thoughts in my head?
Exactly.
And where do I go? Tyrone Dixon, my professor at TSU, he was like, I was the first one from TSU to go to AFI, and you can be the first one from TSU to go to USC. At the time, George Lucas and his wife had just started cutting these big checks, these $1 million checks to USC, so that they could get students of color in and get scholarships. So I started applying. I had to apply 3 times. I got denied twice. But I knew there was something I needed to learn there practically to be able to figure it out. I didn't need to understand the skill set of equipment. What I needed to understand was, how does this system work? Yeah. Not in theory, not in a book. Throw me into it and make me understand it.
Yeah.
Said all that to say, I got to USC with the practical, bounced back to these two. The film that he noticed me on was a film I made before I got to USC, when I took my practicality into my own hands.
For sure.
And I'm not saying I'm sitting here without the aid and support of USC. My experience definitely is here, and the knowledge I have is here. But the connection we made was not because I went to USC. The connection we made was, I submitted a short film to his festival, and he recognized me as a local director. And he enjoyed the way I told the story. I happened to be at USC and finishing, and our paths lined up to where time worked out. Yeah. That I can now come back with my arsenal of what I know to work. I said all that to say that the practicality matters every day, because if you don't get to put your hands on it, you don't know what you're looking for.
No, for sure. And so can you tell me, at least give me like 2 things, that practical advice that you can give someone that's trying to get in your shoes?
I think the thing that has made me, it has brought me where I am right now, is number one, always wanting to get better. So trying to do the same thing that he did, knowing that I needed to find those skills. I needed to develop those skills. And so finding whatever resources I needed. I knew that I didn't know much about video. And so I said, well, let me get into school so I can learn what I need to learn. So that was the one thing that I did, was to recognize that I didn't know enough. And I knew I couldn't learn. I didn't want to try to learn it on my own and try to figure it out when I could find resources that would help me get there. So that was number one. And then number 2, I think, is pretty simple, is that just positioning yourself around the right people. Just recognizing the people that are doing not just the same things that you do, but have that same hunger, that same energy that you have, and that are producing something. Like, because you tend to get around a lot of people that talk about ideas a lot, but it's about actually having something. So for J.O., for example, he had a film festival going on. It wasn't just, I know somebody, in Houston that's making movies. No, he had a real film festival that people were going to, and it was developing. I met him when he was on his in the second year of the film festival, and it's been consistent and it's been growing. So I knew that, okay, he's really making things happen. So that was the two things for me, knowing that I needed to get the right education, and then number two, position myself around the right people where I could really use what I learned in the real world.
Pass the mic. I'm not practical at all, so you might not want to listen to what I gotta say. Yeah, because what I will say is that
your unorthodox methods, I guess.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess, because I would say that everything I do is built off a foundation that was given to me from my mother, right? And God is that foundation, and His favor on my life. My mother's prayers, is what brought me here. And I know a lot of people are like, hey man, they'll believe in God or whatever, but that is what I believe.
For sure.
And so that's my foundation. And with that foundation, I believe I can do anything I set my mind to. And Mom always used to say, shoot for the moon, you might fall amongst the stars. And so what I do is I always shoot for the moon. And I really believe that I'm going to get to that motherfucker. Yeah. Sorry for that. I'm going to get to this motherfucking moon. Like, I'm going to do this. Watch. And I go hard.
Yeah. And
I'm okay with whatever the result is. So if I do fall on a star or an asteroid or whatever it may be out there, I'm okay with that because I know I put my best foot forward. Yeah. Practical stuff. So my ideas are crazy as hell. Like I just be like, really, people, I got an idea in the shower. I'll get out the shower, I'll write it down, and I'll try to do it that day. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, how can I develop and create this business? Go grab the website, social media handles, boom, 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 boom. I set up the whole skeleton of that business. Yeah. And then I hold it for the right time for me to launch it.
Yeah. I'm like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that too.
Like, if you got that idea, it's like,
you gotta get it out.
Boom.
Gotta get it off.
I you know what I'm saying? So I might even, if I'm feeling real froggy, I might go and grab the DBA or grab the LLC the next day.
I've done it. I've done trademarks. I have trademarks I haven't used yet.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But that's just because I have a belief that I can do that, or this is something I may want to do in the future. So I want to be ready when I go into that. Practical.
I mean, you have to think too hard, man. Like, I definitely understand where you're coming from. My whole the reason why I say
I got something.
Okay.
So I do all of that. And then I'll say, well, I'm gonna shoot a movie. Or I'll say, well, I'm gonna start my own storefront. Or I'll say, I'll put high bars out there for myself. And then I like to be a man of my word. So it's a challenge to myself, not anybody else. It's not proving it to you. It's not proving it to Koyo. I said I was going to do this, so now I need to do it. Mm-hmm. And I don't fail somebody else. I failed myself.
Accountability. Yeah. Accountability is exactly what I'm.
And so
it's important.
It's
important.
Yeah, that's a battle within. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And nobody can outdo me more than myself.
What's that one thing you think is holding black creatives back?
Hey, VP, he said, what's the one thing holding black creatives back?
Accountability and accessibility.
Accountability and accessibility.
See, I was going to come back to you.
So, accountability and accessibility.
Exactly.
I get the accessibility and
accountability. So, I think that's the big thing is people don't view us as trustworthy and capable. And by that If I'm repeating it, delete this. No.
If you was out the room.
I wasn't even in here. I was out there FaceTiming my wife and my baby before we go to sleep. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you got to be able to, in order to have access, or in order to gain the knowledge, you have to have access to the knowledge. And so if they use wealth to prevent us from gaining the knowledge, and to me, it's the same to be said of not just black creatives, but creatives in general that don't have access to the resources, which is the beautiful thing about YouTube, though.
Yeah.
Because in 2019, there's no excuse for anything. Like, if you want to learn how to do double bypass surgery, you can sit on YouTube for a few hours. Now, I'm not recommending that you do it yourself. But if you want to be able to do a presentation on it, you watch YouTube for 3-4 hours, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Like, literally, it's all there. Lynda.com.
Nah, everything's there, bro.
It's all there. And so the point isn't, can you afford the cost of entry? The point is, has this spoiled you so much that you don't have the integrity anymore to be accountable? Mm-hmm. That's the caveat. Mm-hmm. The caveat is there's nothing that forces you to scour the web. We used to have to go to the library and stuff. Mm-hmm. And photocopy the stuff. Encyclopedia, and you had to pay 25 cents to use a scanner to copy stuff to take it home to read it, and then write an essay from what you have. Yeah. They don't have to do that anymore. You copy, paste, figure out how to change the words. You submit it. They put it in turnin.com. Either you cheated or you didn't, and then you get a grade and you move on. You didn't gain anything, though.
No, you didn't.
And the issue is we used to have, and we're saying this in our parents' generation, they feel like the same way about us. Yeah. And the next generation, they'll feel the same way about the one that follows them. But the cost of the hustle is so high. Because everybody can drive Uber. Everybody can work for Lyft. Everybody can do DoorDash or whatever. Everybody can go get a job at a call center. Everybody can drop out of high school and figure out how to figure a minimum wage job out, sign up for welfare if you need to, and be all right if you're willing to live on a certain level and make that your comfortable place. Yeah. The question is, to those that desire more, do you have the ability to put hand to plow and grind to say, I've never produced a film anymore. I've never directed before. We ain't never got this money before. How do we, when our powers combine, we are Captain Planet looking. How do we figure this thing out together, sitting in the Galleria Chili's, up here trying to write on laptops and call these people?
So he told me about the film a while back. And this is something he's been trying to accomplish
for a while.
Absolutely. And then you come into his life.
Sure. I'm gonna tell you, this is how it came together for me.
Please.
So the J.O. said, he said it was 7 years in the making, because I remember him telling me about it a while ago too. My HBCU story and things like that. Now, that saw me promoting my film, and she said she saw me working hard, and I think that sometimes, like, you never know who's watching you. If you remain consistent in what you're doing, you just never know what type of blessings are going to come. Like he said, that's that favor. Like, if you believe in what you're doing, things are going to start to align for you. Things that you don't have to ask for it just comes to you. And so when I was doing I had not promoted it for a while. This was this year. I would want to say it was in March or April. I promoted Crank and was done Crank in 2018, putting it out and everything. She said, I saw Crank. You got it on Amazon and everything like that. I see you, really trying to get into this film thing. It seems like you're very serious about it. I got a friend that's does films too, and I want you to meet that person. So I was like, okay, let's set it up. Let's meet. I met our executive producers in April, right? And so I go there and I meet them, and we're talking about everything and Kevin, he said, so what do you want from me? And I told him, I said, I want you to produce my next film. This is me not knowing what film I was talking about. I was thinking maybe my film, you know what I'm saying? I was Crank too. I don't know. I just like, whatever I do next, I want you in on it, right? And so Following month, we did the National Black Film Festival. After that was over, J.O. came to me and said, hey, I got this film. It's time. It's time to really start pushing. I said, well, you know what? He said, we got to get this money. We need, what, $50,000? We was at, like, bro, let me tell you. We was asking, he said we need to get $50,000. I said, well, I got some people I could talk to that I think, can help us get this money. So April, I met him. May, we talked about what we wanted to do with the film. June, July, we had several meetings. We brought Vincent on in that time, and here we are in November. We got that film. So also to that 50K, that we were thinking 50K. We got into this meeting and we started talking about the things that we wanted to do. And the other executive producer, Leo's, was like, no, y'all think it's small. Y'all need 250K. And I was literally sitting there like, what? Like, this is me. I've never asked for $50,000 in my life. Like, I ain't never asked nobody for that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? So that was a lot to me.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. But it didn't intimidate you, though. Right.
No, not at all. But when he said it, I got excited because I was like.
But now the crazy thing is now $5 million won't intimidate you.
No.
So I need
no. And that's the thing. It's all about getting better, So if we started off here and then it's only gonna be up from there. So that's kind of how the process worked.
And the crazy thing about it was we had talked and we were like, I didn't think this soon in making the movie that we'd be talking about the number. But I thought we'd wait for the Q&A for it. But keep it in here. This all truth. Like, we ain't up here trying to reserve knowledge. I remember when we talked about the 50K, they said, come back next week, redo the top sheet. Yep. I was supposed to come back with 125. And then Leo said it needed to be higher, and I had whipped out the 250 he was talking about. They said, what are you doing? Like, we kicking each other on the table, texting each other like, hey, what's this? Hey, now, we're going to scare these nice people away in this top floor of this doggone Galleria. Now, we said 50. They done been nice and said, all right. And now you up here, Vincent. Koyo like, fire this man now. You got to, he sent him back, J.O. J.O. was like, he's good. Koyo like, no, this boy about to run off our only lead.